Hello and welcome to Friday's bonus edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where we're continuing our series of having a go at Friday's Times crossword every week. Today's puzzle is hard. It's definitely the snitch rating, which is this unofficial rating of the Times crossword, tells us that this is most difficult, and that's great. In fact, let's have a look at the stats. Well, that's okay. Moan John McCabe, who doesn't always seem to submit a time, but has submitted a time today. That's ludicrously quick, 3:44. There's our own Mark in 7 minutes 11. So that is, I mean, for a Times crossword to take Mark 7 minutes means this is hard. Jason James is brilliant. So 7 minutes for him is also suggestive of a very, very tough puzzle. So, do I have any news for you today? No, not really. Over on Patreon, if you do enjoy this cryptic crossword content, Mark solves the Club Monthly Special from the Times every month, which is a brutally hard, sort of no holes barred in terms of vocabulary puzzle. I always enjoy watching that video, so that gives you an idea of what it's like. Now let's click, it's this one, isn't it? It's not the quick cryptic. And let's get cracking. Right, beat gutter snipe, lacking modicum of respect for religious figure. Oh, goodness me. I don't know what this is yet. Reading the clue, I suspect it means a religious figure. And that's really because of the word for in the clue, because I try and read these clues as mathematical equations. So if we think about how this clue might be read as a mathematical equation, it seems to me like it could be a word for beat. I was thinking of lamb. I think if you lamb someone, you hit them, as well as to run off. I don't know. And then a gutter snipe, lacking a modicum of respect. Well, a modicum of respect, I'm wondering if that is just a soupçon of the word respect, which might be an R. So if we can think of a word for a gutter snipe, remove an R from it after a word that means beat, that would give us, it would equal a religious figure. I don't know, I'm sort of sketching in my mind through the apostles. I can't think of a, I don't know, religious figure as well. I mean, it could be any religion. I just don't. I think we're going to need letters for that one. One down. Work at last in stone. No, I don't know what this is. Work can be an anagram indicator. If you work at something, you would probably change it. So if we anagrammed the word at last, or the words at last, could we create something that means stone? Not that I'm seeing straight away. Work can also be abbreviated to OP, which is an abbreviation for opus, a musical work. Stone can also be abbreviated to ST, so it could be something that means at last inside ST, and it all means work. I don't know. That's, again, I think that's pretty difficult. Let's try two down. Competitor who's earning very attractive return. Competitor who's earning. Sort of sounds like a professional athlete. Very attractive return. That seems like, my phone's buzzing. That seems like it's wanting us to return a phrase that means very attractive. Cool, this is tricky. Let's try 9 across. Male friendship beginning to bother Catholic Church. Bromancy. That's right, isn't it? Or bromance. Wow. Okay, so a male friendship is a bromance. I wonder whether, I'm not changing the answer by the way, but I wonder whether in my old Chambers dictionary whether bromance is even a word. No, it's not. It's quite a new phrase, I think, isn't it? A bromance. And how does this work? Well, beginning to bother is very clearly saying take the beginning of the word bother. B. Catholic, Roman. church, C of E, so a mixture of churches there. Church, if you see it in a cryptic crossword, it will either almost always be CH, which you'll see, I think, on Ordnance Survey maps as the symbol for a church, or CE for Church of England. So we've got Roman bromance. Now let's go back to this then. Work at last. Oh, it's not going to be... I've got it. Okay, wow. So everything I've said about this clue is wrong so far. But if you work at a last, as in a shoemaker, a last is something that a shoemaker uses to make shoes. Look, so the answer's cobble, I think. Let's go last. Oh, now I can't find it. Here we go. Last, a shoemaker's model of the foot on which boots and shoes are made or repaired. So if you worked at a last, you might cobble, and a stone is a cobblestone. Always amusing to watch the bike races go over the cobbles. Maybe amusing is slightly strong, but you know what I mean. 12 across. Learning, assumed by one that runs a course in France. I don't know what this is yet, but I want it to be Loire. Because when I see one that runs a course in France, I don't know why, but and it may well not be that, but to me that's suggestive of a river. So I want it to be Loire. No, it is that, because learning can be lore, L-O-R-E, and if one, which can be I, the Roman numeral for the number 1, or just a synonym for 1. If I assumes learning, so it sort of wears the word learning, we could put law outside the I and get Loire. And that means that the definition here is actually that runs a course in France. That thing, the Loire, runs a course in France. So, I mean, I'm fortunate there. I've done enough crosswords that runs a course just makes me think of river. I know it's ludicrous, but that's how my brain has been trained by this nonsense over the years. Competitor who's earning. Pro then. Oh, fit. Profit. Oh, goodness. Okay, so this one fooled me as well. I was thinking we had to do all sorts of, reversals. But I did think of professional. And I even thought of pro in my mind. I just couldn't see how it worked. But pro is a competitor who's earning. If you're very attractive, you're fit. And then a profit is a return. So what's this then? Beat. If you cap something, you would better its score, wouldn't you? So you would beat it. So maybe cap or cop. Cap, probably. Oh, is it urchin? Yes, it is. It's urchin for a gutter snipe. And then if we take... Oh, Mavericks flying past early today. If we take R, the modicum of respect, out of urchin, we get Uchin, and a capuchin is a type of monk or religious figure. Sorry about the aeroplane noise. Oh, well, I'm actually quite relieved. I think we've done a reasonable job in the Northwest, which was that none of these answers were that. Well, bromance was possibly easy, but the others were they weren't easy, I don't think. So, escort a former president. Okay, if we see former president, let me just run through that. It's very unlikely to be the full name. It's not going to be Ford or something like that. Just in my experience, it's almost always actually Abe, which was sort of the nickname of Abraham Lincoln, or Ike, Dwight D. Eisenhower. So I'm thinking, well, my brain's going to, could this be ABE? I don't like that, because C blank ABE, I can't think of a word, but a chaperone is what it's going to be. Escort. Oh, so it's Perron. It's Evita, I think. Well, Evita wasn't the president, but was it Juan Perron? I think it's chaperone. I'm going to put that in, and then we're going to try and work out why. A former president, so I think that's A Perron. Under revolutionary compatriots' protection. If you see revolutionary in a crossword, crossword compilers love Che Guevara. So I think Che is what you tend to see, C-H-E. So C-H-E has provided protection. It's surrounding a Peron for the president. And that gives a chaperone. And then 4 down, shining, incandescent. That might be right. Path traced back. Oh, well, to Peruvian Empire. The Peruvian Empire was the Incan, wasn't it? So I quite like incandescent. I think, yes, path traced back is it. One's descent is one's heritage, isn't it? It's you trace back your family tree. So path traced back for descent, I think, is perfectly reasonable. So I think shining incandescent is going to be correct there. And then 13 across. Inimitable type of music making a comeback in online broadcast. I haven't got this. I have got it. Okay. Okay, let me talk you through exactly what I thought there. Inimitable, didn't have a clue. Type of music, I was thinking of short synonyms for types of music. My first thought actually was rap, but I couldn't see how that works. I could see it was making a comeback, didn't mean anything. But the last part of the clue, in online broadcast, did mean something to me. Because if I broadcast something, I scatter it, I anagram it. So I thought, okay, I need an anagram of online, and I'm putting a type of music back inside that anagram. And then I couldn't think of the answer, but then I did think of it, because then I went back to my thought about rap, and I realised that rap backwards is par, and then I could think of nonpareil, which is a word I can never say, but this does mean inimitable. It means the best. It's sort of without equal, isn't it? I think it's from the French. Let's in fact look it up while we're here. I'm not going to change it. A thing without equal. A fine variety of apple. I didn't know that. A kind of confectionery. Really? An old type size, approximately and still used synonymously for 6 point. And it's from the French. There we go. Non, not pareil. From a, what's that mean? LL diminutive of Latin part. Well, I don't know, some nonsense after that. Right, so now after our good start, we're getting into more difficult territory, because if we look at all of the things we've got, well, A and 6 down possibly. Should we have a look at that, or should we have a look at this one? Let's try this one. Best place to start job on staff. Well, this is not too difficult, probably. If I split this clue up in the correct place, so remember in a cryptic crossword clue, the definition of the answer is almost always at the start or end of the word, or the start or end of the clue. Let's go through. In this clue, it was religious figure. In this clue, it was male friendship. In this clue, it was that runs a course in France at the end of the clue. So you can see as we work our way through, it hasn't been any example, and there would only be 1 or 2 in any cryptic crossword where the definition wasn't at the start or the end of the clue. So here, if I split this clue in the correct place, so the definition here, best place to start. And it's only a small thing that you have to think about then to realise the answer. So if it was the best place to start in a sporting sense, especially in a racing sense, it would be pole position. And then how does the wordplay work? Job, well, a job is a position, and that's placed on next to a word that means staff, and a staff is a pole. Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings had a staff or pole. That's, yeah, I don't know why my brain goes there. Who knows? Let's look at. We haven't really got any good. Oh, we have got a starting letter in 50 now. Let's have a look at that. Mock leader out of weakness. My brain went to infirmity there for weakness, but I think that's wrong, because the construction of the clue here, I've got it. Okay, the construction of the clue is to say, take the leader, take the first letter, the initial letter, out of a word that means weakness. So we actually need a 10-letter word that means weakness that we're going to remove the first letter from to give us a 9-letter word which means mock. So infirmity, which would be 9 letters, is the wrong number of letters given the construction of the clue. So can we think of a word that means if you mock something, or a mock is an imitation. Now, so how does this work? Well, the word limitation, a limitation is a weakness, and we took the first letter out of it to give us imitation. So we have done this one. Again, very little in terms of useful checking letters. I suppose we get an A in 23. Unique case of a typical individual. Okay. So the way to get this is to seek in that clue any example you can possibly see that could be wordplay. And we've said that the definition is ordinarily at the start or the end of the clue. So where can we almost certainly always find wordplay? It's going to be in the middle of the clue. So let's read the middle words of this clue. Case of atypical. What could that mean? Well, in a cryptic sense, if you take the case of something, you take the first and the last letters. They are the things casing the word atypical. They are its case, they are its skin, aren't they? So that would be A and L, and we've got an A at the start of the clue. So let's put A and L in. And that would suggest that the definition here in this clue is the first word. It's the word unique. Because if the case of atypical is the A and the L is starting the answer, then we want a 3-letter word that means individual that's going to go here to give us a 5-letter word that means unique. An individual one is an individual. That gives us alone, and if something is unique, it is alone. And look at these checking letters. This is rotten stuff here. Absolute nonsense. Well, we'll have a go at 11 down. Declaration. Okay, well, I have got this, but I'm very much helped by having these 2 letters. So actually these 2 checking letters were useful. So, declaration in the year peacekeepers unite. So that when I first read the clue, the only thing that I was fairly confident about was peacekeepers, which in cryptic crossword land is the UN. So UN, and that looks interesting given we've got an N here, doesn't it? It makes you think that U would go at the start. But, as Maverick does another fly past, do we know any phrases for in the year? Now the only time I see that is in the phrase Anno Domini, in the year of our Lord. So in the year, could it be Anno? And if it was Anno, that would fit very nicely here, wouldn't it? And then peacekeepers would be UN. And all of a sudden this clue becomes easy, because we must be looking for a word that means declaration, and we have this as the start of it. So it's going to end in cement, and if you unite something, you cement it. So, and now Anno uncement is how the wordplay breaks down. And as ever, we're not getting very useful checking letters, but at least we've sort of forged a path down into the southeast of the puzzle. I think we're going to have to start trying to make our way into the northeast. So let's have a look at this. University management course. Well, is that an MBA? Probably. Oh no, okay. Well, that's interesting. It almost is. An MBA is a management course one could do at university. So, yeah. But university also can be abbreviated in the dictionary to U. I say this every week. It bears repetition, though. You can't just, if we look at any of these clues, you can't look at this clue, suggestive note about fast clothes, and say, well, there's the word suggestive there. That begins with S, therefore it could represent the letter S. No, not unless the dictionary supports the fact that S is a valid abbreviation for the word suggestive, which it won't. However, for university, if we go to U, Yeah, university, there it is. So the dictionary explicitly supports this as a valid abbreviation. So this could be a U and an MBA for the management course covering right. Well, right is often R, right is R, L is left. And that would give us the possibility of creating umbra. And umbra, I know, is a word that does mean a shady area. I think this is from Latin. I'm not sure, but I mean, words like penumbral come to mind. So umbra, I think of umbra as a shadow, but I think that could also be a shade. I'm not changing it, so we'll look it up. Umbra, oh, shadow, there we go. And it's from Latin, shade or shadow. Now, I didn't do Latin at school. It's one of the great regrets of my life, because all of the Latin I've learned has been picked up from basically failing to solve cryptic crosswords and slowly having to learn certain Latin and Greek roots. And that's one I do remember. Now, here is the first time just about in the puzzle we've got a useful checking letter. I probably won't be able to solve this now, but 10 across with a B in it looks good. B, full of anger, having lost almost everything for sure. B, full of anger, having lost almost everything. Okay, I don't know what this is. I'm thinking it might be an 8-letter word, which means be full of anger, that might lose almost everything. Now, everything, can I think of a short synonym for everything? Yes, the word all means everything, and almost everything would therefore be AL, almost all of the word all. So can we think of an 8-letter word that means be full of anger? And we're going to take AL out of it, and it means, and then it equals, because we know for, so we do some things to get to result in a word that means sure. Sure. This is so ironic. We get our first good checking letter. I can't do it. Let's try 5 across. Officer who might appear tight-lipped. I don't know. It's going to be the name of an army officer or a navy officer or something like a rank, but it might be a slang term. My brain keeps telling me gummer or something, but I might appear tight-lipped. Mummer. If you're mum, you don't say anything. But a mummer isn't a word for an officer, is it? I don't think it is. Let's try 7 down. What helps one remember? Mnemonic is where my brain went there. Work over in US. Work over in US. America is, I can, no, hang on. Work over, what helps one remember? This must be something like, I can't get my brain off mnemonic now, which is appalling. What helps one remember? Work over. Oh, that's infuriating, because my brain just isn't telling me the word here, and I don't know. I have a deep sense I should just be able to write this in, and I can't. Useless. Okay, let's go to this one. Suggestive note about fast clothes. Suggestive. If something is redolent, it's suggestive, isn't it? Note could be do re. About. I'm just going to put redolent. Fast. Well, people do fast during Lent, so I'm wondering if fast is just Lent here. Note about. Oh, Right, okay. I have understood how this works then, and my suggestion that note was do re, this re is the musical note re, by the way. Let me just show you that. There we go, the second note. So, you know, do, a deer, a female deer, re, a drop of golden sun. It's actually quite handy to know do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But that re here is not the note. Believe it or not, this is the note do, D-O, which is also a note, and that'll be the first note of the sol-fa scale. Let's go and have a look. See, do. There we go. A syllable representing the first note of the scale in sol-fa notation, D-O. So what we've got here is note, which is this do, about fast. Well, about if you write re on a memo, it would mean about, wouldn't it? That's what the word re means. So about lent, about fast, relent is going to clothe, it's going to surround the word the musical note do to give us redolent, which is suggestive. And this is not good, because I do wonder if this is mama. What's this then? Be full, abound, aboard. Be full of anger, bridle. Be full of anger, having lost almost everything, for sure. Be full of. What's the starting vowel here? It must be A, mustn't it? I mean, I think it must be. Be full of anger. I'm absolutely I'm absolutely a boil, maybe. No, boil would be a boiling, having lost almost everything, for sure. If you're sure you're completely why? I don't know. I don't know why my brain will not tell me the answer to that. And if this was mama, we'd have an M at the start of this. What helped this one? Oh, is it going to be sort of like a souvenir? Oh, it's an anagram. That's clever. Oh, yeah, okay. What helps one remember? Oh, so this is not mama, definitely not, because it is souvenir. And the reason I know it's souvenir is it's an anagram. Work, I can't remember what clue we looked at, but we said work might be an anagram indicator. And here it is. If we work the letters of over in the US, we can make souvenir as a word. And what helps one remember? A souvenir. So this looks like a bound now. This looks like a huzzah? Husher? What? Officer who might appear tight-lipped. Purser. Purser is the answer. If you purse your lips, you tighten them, don't you? And a purser, I think it's some army term for somebody who looks after the money. I am not certain, but purser I really like as an answer there. And then be full of anger, having lost almost everything. Why is this a bound? For sure. Sorry, my window's rattling. You can probably hear that. I've got it slightly open and it's windy today. I didn't realise. Be full of anger. I mean, I can't think of another word that fits now apart from abound, but I have absolutely no clue why it would be abound. Be full of anger. Let's write in abound and have a look. Can we see any way of breaking this up? Be full of anger. If you're full of anger, how do we use these letters to create anything that means full of anger? Having lost almost everything. So if we take AL out of this, abalound, that's not a word. I really don't know what that is. Maybe that's why this puzzle's so difficult. I mean, nothing's been that easy so far, but maybe this clue is very, very difficult to know the answer to. I don't know. We'll have to come back to it. Let's let my subconscious percolate away. Let's try 16 down. Rather formal. Primish? Something like that. Attacks upset members of school. Yeah, I've got this. Okay, so the way I got this was members of school. Remember, this is a cryptic crossword, so members of school is not likely to refer to just school children. What other contexts could we have for a school? Well, what about a school of fish? Members of a school might be fish, mightn't they? And that rather formal, the ending is probably going to be ish. I thought of primish was my first thought. But now, if we think this might end in fish, and it means rather formal, how about stiffish? How does it work? Attacks, if you have an attack of something, you have a fit of it. And that's upset. Now, it's a down clue, so if we upset a word, we can turn it upside down. And that would give us a reversal of fits on top of fish. Stiffish is the answer. Plant. I don't. No, I'm trying to think if I can just write that in. I can't. A business, barely increased activity to begin with. Business. Barely increased. My phone's going nuts. Barely increased activity to begin with. Activity to begin with could be an A. Maybe that's just there. Oh, maybe increased activity is IA. Business barely. Or maybe, could we put B here? That doesn't look right. Business, trade. Business is trade. Whoops. Barely. Scant. Tradescantia. I don't know that word. I'm not prepared to lock that in yet either. Let me just think about that. Business, trade. I like that. Barely. I need a 5-letter word for barely. Blank C, blank N, blank. Are there any other opportunities other than scant? If something is barely something, it's scant it, isn't it? That feels right. Barely. I doubt I'm going to come up with anything better than increased activity to begin with is the first letters, the beginning letters of the words increased, I, and activity, A. So tradescantia is what I think I would go for there. We'll look it up at the end. I'm not planning on changing it, but I won't look it up now. It feels a bit too remote to look up. 17 down. Categorized groups into different types of duty. Tax. This is going to be something like taxonomy, which I think if you categorize, groups of animals, I think that's taxonomy. And a tax obviously is a duty, as in a levy. In different types of duty, tax. I quite liked taxonomy, but I don't understand the ending there. Different types of duty. So I was thinking of VAT, tax. It's something like taxonomy. I'm not sure what it is, but it's something like that. 21 across. State-controlled newspaper in Cologne. Fragrance, surely, for a cologne. Cologne question mark there is saying Cologne is an example of something. State-controlled newspaper. France. Yes, rag in France is what that is. So, state-controlled is sort of punning on the idea that we need to put a country around a word, so that word is being controlled by it. And a short synonym for a newspaper, there are a lot of them, because I mean, in the UK now you have the FT, Financial Times. That's a very short synonym for the word newspaper. We have the I newspaper as well, but rag is what's being used here. So we've got rag being under the control of France to give us fragrance, of which Cologne is an example. Okay, so it's not taxonomy, it's taxa something. Let's try, well, I'll try 22. Increase in wage level. A raise accommodates you, a rise in core requirement. Union's core. Increase in wage level. Well, that's a rise or a raise, I would say. Accommodates union. Now, union could be you, I think. But it could, union's core could be I, the core letter of the word union, the central letter. And the whole thing means requirement. A requirement is a increase. Or is a core requirement a reference to sort of a nuclear core? Is there some sort of atomic particle, like a meson or something? I don't know. Let's try 24. Viewer's complaint is about critic after taking sides. Okay, I have got this. This is also not an easy answer. Viewer's complaint here is the definition, so we need to think about what that might mean. And a complaint, if you have a medical complaint, you know, you've got an illness, obviously. Viewer's complaint, so that might indicate a medical complaint to do with one's eye. Is about. Well, that's saying put the word is around the edge of something. Okay, let's do that. Critic after taking sides. Well, if we take the word critic and we remove the sides of that word, we would take both C's away, wouldn't we? And we would be left with writty. And if we put writty in the middle of is, we get iritis, which is not a word I know, but it strikes me as it's probably an illness of the iris, which is part of the eye. So I'm persuaded that's probably right. Let's try 26. Watch person with a particular interest in game. A person with a particular interest in game. I've not got a Scooby-Doo what this is. I was thinking of it, is it somebody who goes on safari? You know, if you have a particular interest in game, as in animals. Watch person. Harrison. Didn't Harrison make clocks? Watch. A watch is a hide, somewhere you would watch birds from. Oh, I don't know. Now, what's this one then? Taxa. Categorized groups. Maybe, okay, so maybe this is ending in S then. Categorized groups into different types of duty. So I need, oh goodness, sorry, it's really getting windy. Oh, what is this word? Maybe it just means categorized. Groups into different types of duty. That would, so I think this is going to be a D or an S. A watch person. With a particular... Oh, it's not hockey, is it? That's a game. Watch person. No. Don't like that. And we've just got an I, which is the core letter of the word union. So an increase in wage level. Wow. Okay, this is it's a very simple answer, but it's very hard to understand why it's the answer. It is just raise. Increase in wage is a raise. If you level something, you raise it to the ground, which I think that has two spellings, R-A-Z-E and R-A-S-E, I think is a variant. So I think this is R-A-S-E. I was just thinking there isn't another spelling of raise like that. I don't think there is. I think this is R-A-S-E around union's core requirement is saying take the core requirement for the word union is the I. That's really difficult because union's core on its own would indicate the I. So union's core requirement it's more than's needed. But that I think is what's going on there. So now we've got this horrible one left, and these two, which neither of which I have any clue what the word is. Okay, let's see if we can tidy up the southeast, and then at least we can return to these tricky points. Evergreen shrub with upright stem. Okay. I have no... I keep wanting to put standing or stanchion or something there. I don't know what it is. Scandalous book. All about keeping love and sex apart. Scandalous. Right. This is the definition of this answer. Is a scandalous book, and if you know the book by Nabokov, I think it's Lolita, and all is spelt out here backwards, A-L-L. Obviously it's got some things in the middle of it, but that word all is doing this job. So all turns about, and it keeps within it love. Well, the love score in tennis is a 0. That's this O here, because it looks like a 0. And, oh, hang on, where's the clue gone? And sex is it. If you do it, you have sex. So O and it are kept apart by a reversal of all to give the name of a scandalous book. I mean, that's not easy, is it? 20 down. Drink in every gesture showing approval. Drink in. If you drink something in, you sort of imbibe it. Every gesture showing approval. Or a gesture showing approval. What's that? A thumbs up? Every gesture showing approval. Right, I've got this. I don't really know how I've got this. I was trying to think of words for every, and I thought of each. I see the E here. I'm trying to work out how that might work. I thought of EA, which is an abbreviation for each. But finally my brain went to per, as in per capita would mean every person. So per. And then I was thinking, do I know any drinks that begin with per? And I do, Pernod. And a nod is a gesture which shows approval. So we have finally got this. So is this standard then? Evergreen shrub with upright stem. I don't know. Let's try this one. Area 51 opens up belief in invisible controlling powers. Area 51, that must be... Well, 51 must be the Roman numeral for 51, which is Li. So this has got Li in it somewhere. That opens up belief. Religion? No. Area 51. Area would normally be A. Opens up belief in invisible controlling powers. Oh, okay. It is religion. It's religion. A region is an area, and so we got the word region, and then Li for 51 opens up that word region to give religion, and belief in invisible controlling powers is the definition here for religion. Slightly disparaging way to describe religion, I think, from this constructor. Right, so we're left with four to do. This one looks like standard. Evergreen. Shrub with upright stem. I mean, there's probably if you look up standard in the dictionary, it'll say any shrub with an upright stem is called standard. But I'm not prepared to believe that quite yet. Evergreen shrub. You see, with here could be and, couldn't it? That's quite an interesting thought. No jokes about me at parties. So if I could think of an evergreen shrub, blank T blank N blank. And then the whole thing would mean an upright stem. It looks like it would have to be ST, doesn't it? Evergreen shrub. I'm not very good on my evergreen shrubs, as you can see. Evergreen shrub with upright stem. I don't know. Oh dear, dear, dear. I would feel better about myself. I mean, this is appalling. Having 3 whole areas of the puzzle unsolved. Categorized groups into different types of duty. Taxa. I mean, I'm assuming tax here. I mean, could the tax be lower in the word? No. I doubt it. I'm not sure. Tax. Different types of duty. What's one's duty? One's obligation, one's onus. Maybe I'm on the wrong track here. Maybe I've got to think about this differently. Categorized groups could be ties. If you have a tie, you have to something, you have a duty, don't you? So could this just end in ties? Categorized groups, varieties, or something like that. It's not varieties, but into different types of groups, into different types of duty. This would give us an S. Watch person. Person with a particular interest in game. I mean, I want this to be an R. What on earth is this? A watch person. Person with a particular interest in game. That's like a talent scout or something. Is there a word for a type of watch? Oh, that's ringing a bell with hunter. Oh, yeah, that's it, isn't it? A hunter is an old type of watch, I think. So this is total nonsense, what I've done over here. Taxation? Could it be taxation then? Yeah, maybe. Maybe the way this is meant to work is categorized groups. Maybe taxa, T-A-X-A, is some, you know, prefix meaning categorized groups, and that's where words like taxonomy come from. And then into different, I think, is saying anagram, the word into, and that would give us shon. And the whole thing then would be taxation, which are types of duty, types of levies, types of taxation. So probably this is taxation. That's brutal. Right, let's try this one again. Be full of anger. Be full of anger. I mean, there's no... Could this possibly be OB at the start? I mean, there are words like obtrude and things like that. Be full of anger. Abound. I just keep coming back to abound. It's the only thing I can think of that fits. Be full of anger, having lost almost everything, for sure. Be full of. I suppose if you be full of, if something abounds, you're full of it, aren't you? So that at least would justify a definition. Be full of. So anger, having lost almost everything. Oh, I don't like that. Right. Okay. Right. I really don't like this, actually. So anger, having lost almost everything. I think it's saying take the word anger and remove almost all its letters. So just leave the first letter. I really think that's what that's saying. And if something is sure, it is bound to happen. So I think that is what is going on. And if that's right, not a fan. Not a fan of that. Having lost almost everything. Well, I mean, I have to be fair on the basis, just because I haven't seen it before doesn't mean it's not, it's not valid. But that's very close to the bone for me. But at least I've justified it. So now all we've got to do is convince ourselves that tradescantia is a word, and work out why this is standard. I wonder if an evergreen shrub is a standard. And I wonder if a letter, you know, in like fonts, I wonder if standard is a description of something, a letter that has an upright stem. Then at least I wouldn't have to come up with another word that fits here, which feels very difficult. Yeah, I quite like that as an idea. Quite like that as an idea. So I think this might be from typesetting or calligraphy with an upright stem. So it might be a word that, so standard might be a word that means that. So I think we'll go with this. Submit without leaderboard, because we're not racing. And we'll hope that we haven't made an error. So we were right. So now it's going to be about the dictionary justifying any number of things. Let's try Tradescantia. Any plant of the American Tradescantia, the spiderwort genus, with attractive, often variegated foliage. Wow, okay, that's not easy. Now, what was the standard? Right, so let's see in here. So firstly, it had to be an evergreen shrub, didn't it? Oh, there's an upright stem here. Oh, right, a fruit tree or other tree grafted and trained so as to have an upright stem without branches. Blimey. I mean, there's a lot of, it's funny how many different meanings there are of the word standard here. I never understand as well why, you know, this word standard that has so many different meanings under the main stem of the word. So it doesn't sort of say standard 1, you know, a heraldic thing, standard 2, an upright post or pillar. It's all grouped together in this single mishmash. Okay, there we go. A standing shrub or tree, not trained on an espalier or a wall. So a standing shrub. Well, it doesn't say evergreen shrub there, does it? Where's evergreen here? In fact, let's type evergreen into the dictionary and let's look at the full text search. Go down to standard. And it's not there. Wow. Okay, I don't understand then. Evergreen. Maybe evergreen is a word that means standard if something's evergreen. Okay, well this a person, piece of music which retains freshness and popularity through the years. Okay, so it's like an old standard, I suppose. Right, so actually it's evergreen. It's a double definition. Evergreen as in a musical piece that retains popularity. I didn't know that was the meaning of evergreen at all. And also it's a shrub with an upright stem. I mean, that is brutal. These last few, to actually justify them, are brutal. We've looked at, let's look at hunter there, which was certainly not tripping off the tongue for me. I'm pretty sure it's a watch. A watch whose face is protected with a metal case. Okay. It doesn't say it's an old word, it's just a description, so that's not particularly obscure apparently. Purser. Let's have a look at what a purser does for the army or the navy. A naval paymaster. An officer in charge of cabins and stewards, etc. Okay. Capuchin, might as well check it while we're doing the Capuchin, a friar of a strict branch of the Franciscan order, which became a separate order in 1619, so called from the pointed hood worn. A hooded pigeon is a capuchin, and a capuchin monkey, I have heard of that. So abound, I think I understood in the end. I mean, it's a pretty difficult puzzle, this. Oh, taxa. I wanted to check whether taxa was a prefix. That means plural taxa. So it's the plural of taxon. a biological category. So it's biological categories. Is that, I think it was something like that, wasn't it? 17 down. Categorized groups. Yeah, okay. We can't really argue. I mean, that is taxa, T-A-X-A, is apparently a word that means that. I did not know that. Wow. Religion, standard, imitation, Lolita, Perno. Again, it's stunning, isn't it? How much oh, look at all the different spellings of rays there. So I think that's how that was justified. Chaperone we looked at. Yeah, I mean, if we just go through this puzzle just quickly, because I do find it amusing once you finish one of these. And obviously, I am so inexpert in any number of the topics that come up in this, but I had to know a little bit about quite a few things. I had to know that a cobbler worked at a last. I had to know that a gutter snipe was an urchin. Yeah, there is quite a lot you have to know here. You have to know a French river. You've got to know a bit of modern slang. You've got to know about taxa, or at least be able to guess at it. Iritis might be an illness of the eye. We didn't look it up. I'm pretty sure it must be to do with the iris, mustn't it? Yeah, inflammation of the iris. You had to know that there was a hunter watch. You had to know about Nabokov, a bit about alcohol. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's really interesting. Anyway, I think that's a very hard puzzle. So it's been a long one today. Let me know in the comments. Oh yeah, let me know in the comments how you got on. Let me know if you're seeing some improvement in your crossword solving. If you do enjoy this video, please do consider either giving it a like or dropping in a kind comment. We'd really appreciate it. We're trying to teach the algorithm that these puzzles are absolutely wonderful, but the algorithm doesn't understand. And the only way we can make it understand is by popular opinion forcing it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.